Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Hannah.
And I'm James. Thanks for joining us today.
Today, we are talking about something really important for English learners. We're looking at how to talk about the future in English. And this is actually quite a big topic, isn't it, James?
It really is. The future is something we talk about every single day. We make plans, we talk about our hopes, we discuss what might happen tomorrow or next year.
Exactly. And in English, there are several different ways to express future ideas. That can feel confusing at first, but actually, once you understand the main patterns, it becomes much easier.
That's right. And the good news is you don't need to know everything at once. Even with a few basic structures, you can communicate really well about future events.
So today, we want to help you understand the most common and useful ways to talk about the future. We'll keep it simple and practical.
Yes, we'll focus on what you really need in everyday conversations.
Perfect. So let's start with the most basic idea. When we think about the future, we are thinking about things that haven't happened yet, right?
Right. Things that will happen later today, tomorrow, next week, next month, or even many years from now.
And in English, we have different ways to express these future ideas depending on what we mean. Sometimes we are talking about plans we have already made. Sometimes we are making a decision right now. And sometimes we're just predicting something.
Exactly. The way we talk about the future changes depending on the situation.
So let's look at the first common way. One very simple structure uses the word will. You probably know this one already.
Yes, will is very common. We use it when we make predictions about the future. For example, if you look outside and see dark clouds, you might say, "It will rain soon."
That's a prediction. You're looking at the clouds and guessing what will happen. You're not certain, but you think it's likely.
Another example, "I think our team will win the match tomorrow." Again, it's a prediction. You believe it will happen, but you're not completely sure.
We also use will when we make a decision at the moment of speaking. Imagine you're sitting with a friend and your phone rings. You might say, "I'll answer it."
Yes, you weren't planning to answer it before. You decided right now, in this moment. That's another use of will.
Or imagine you're in a cafe with a colleague. The waiter comes to your table. Your colleague says, "What would you like?" And you look at the menu and say, "I will have a coffee, please."
Perfect example. You're deciding right now. You didn't plan it before you arrived.
So will is useful for predictions and for spontaneous decisions. Decisions you make in the moment.
That's right. Now there's another very common way to talk about the future. We use going to for different situations.
Yes, going to is really useful. We often use it when we have already made a plan or intention. For example, imagine someone asks you, "What are your plans for the weekend?"
And you say, "I'm going to visit my parents." You already decided this before. It's your plan.
Exactly. The decision isn't new. You made it earlier, maybe yesterday or last week. Now you're just talking about it.
Another example, "We are going to watch a film tonight." This means you already decided. Maybe you and your friend talked about it this morning.
That's right. So going to is perfect for plans and intentions you have already made.
Now, there's another use for going to as well. We use it when we can see evidence that something will happen. Something is already starting to happen.
Yes, good point. For example, imagine you see someone carrying a lot of heavy boxes. The boxes are shaking. You might say, "Be careful, you are going to drop those boxes."
You can see the evidence. The situation shows that something is about to happen. It's very likely.
Or think about this. You look outside and the sky is completely gray. Very dark clouds are moving quickly. You say, "It's going to rain."
Yes, you have evidence. You can see the signs. It's not just a guess. The weather clearly shows rain is coming soon.
So remember, going to is for plans you've already made and also for predictions when you have clear evidence.
Now, there's another way to talk about the future that's very common in everyday English. We use the present continuous tense.
Yes, this might sound strange at first. The present continuous is normally for things happening now, right? But we also use it for future arrangements.
That's right. We use it for fixed plans, especially when we've arranged something with another person. For example, "I'm meeting Sarah at 6 o'clock tomorrow."
This is a fixed arrangement. You and Sarah already agreed on the time and place. It's in your diary or calendar.
Another example, we are flying to Spain next Friday. This means you've already booked the tickets, the arrangement is confirmed.
So it's more than just an intention, it's an actual arrangement, something organized and confirmed.
Exactly. You wouldn't say, I'm meeting Sarah tomorrow if you only have a vague idea. You say it when the plan is definite.
Right, and this structure often includes a specific time or date. I'm seeing the doctor at 3 o'clock. We're having dinner with friends on Saturday evening.
Yes, those specific details show that the arrangement is real and fixed.
Now, there's one more really useful structure for talking about the future. We use the present simple tense for timetables and schedules.
Yes, this is for things that are fixed and regular, things that follow a timetable. For example, the train leaves at 8:15.
The train has a schedule. It's not your personal plan. It's a fixed timetable that doesn't change.
Other examples would be the film starts at 7:30. The shop opens at 9 o'clock. The lesson finishes at 4 o'clock.
These are all scheduled events. They happen at specific times according to a timetable.
We also use the present simple for scheduled future events like the meeting begins at 2 o'clock tomorrow.
Even though it's tomorrow, we use the present simple because it's a scheduled event. It's on the calendar or timetable.
So that's the present simple for timetables and schedules. Very straightforward.
Now, let's think about all of these together. We have talked about will, going to, the present continuous, and the present simple.
That's right. And the important thing to remember is that they all talk about the future, but they each have specific uses.
Sometimes the difference is quite clear. For example, you wouldn't use will for a fixed arrangement. You'd use the present continuous.
And you wouldn't use going to for a timetable. You'd use the present simple.
But sometimes, especially with will and going to, the difference is more subtle. It's about whether you're making a spontaneous decision or talking about an existing plan.
Let me give you an example to show the difference. Imagine your friend says, "I'm cold." You can respond in two ways.
You could say, I will close the window. This means you're deciding right now, in this moment. You weren't thinking about it before.
Or you could say, "I'm going to close the window." This suggests you already noticed it was cold and already planned to close the window.
The difference is small, but it's there. In natural conversation, both could work, but the meaning is slightly different.
Another example. Imagine you see heavy rain clouds. Someone asks, "What do you think about the weather?"
You could say, I think it will rain. This is just your prediction or opinion.
Or you could say, "It's going to rain." This shows you have evidence. You can see the clouds. It's more certain.
So both work, but going to feels more immediate and more based on evidence you can see.
That's a good way to think about it.
Now, let's think about how we actually use these structures in real conversations. Let's imagine some everyday situations.
Good idea. Let's say you were talking to a colleague on Friday afternoon. They ask, "What are you doing this weekend?"
I'm going to relax at home on Saturday. I'm meeting some friends on Sunday afternoon. We're having lunch together.
Perfect. You used going to for your general intention and the present continuous for your fixed arrangement with friends.
Exactly. That sounds natural. Now, imagine a different situation. You're on the phone with your mother. She asks, when can I see you?
You might say, "I'm not sure yet. I'll call you tomorrow and we will arrange something."
Good. You used will because you're making the decision right now during the conversation.
Here's another example. You're at work and your manager asks, "What time does the presentation start tomorrow?"
You'd say, it starts at 10 o'clock. That's the present simple because it's a scheduled time.
And if someone asks who's giving the presentation, you might say, Sarah's presenting the first section and I'm presenting the second section.
Again, present continuous for fixed arrangements. These are already organized.
So you can see how these different structures appear naturally in everyday conversations.
And the more you listen and read English, the more you'll notice these patterns. You will start to feel when each one is appropriate.
That's true. At first, you might need to think about the rules, but over time, it becomes automatic.
Exactly. You will just know which one sounds right.
Now, there are also some common time expressions that we use when talking about the future. These are really helpful.
Yes, words and phrases that show we're talking about future time. Let's mention a few.
Tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. These are very common.
Later, soon, in a few minutes, in a few days. These show something will happen in the near future.
Tonight, this evening, this weekend. These refer to specific future times that are quite close.
We also say things like in 2 hours, in 3 days, in 5 years. This shows exactly how far into the future.
And we use at for specific times. At 6 o'clock, at midnight, at noon.
We use on for days and dates. On Monday, on the 15th of June, on my birthday.
And we use in for months and years. In July, in 2027.
These time expressions help make your meaning clear. They help the listener understand exactly when something will happen.
That's right. And using them correctly makes your English sound much more natural.
Now, let's think about some common mistakes that learners make when talking about the future.
Yes, it's useful to know what to avoid. One common mistake is using will for fixed arrangements.
For example, saying, I will meet John tomorrow at 3 when you have a confirmed arrangement. It's better to say, I'm meeting John tomorrow at 3.
Another mistake is forgetting to use going to when you're talking about a plan you've already made.
Yes, some learners say, I will visit my parents this weekend when they've already decided. It's more natural to say, I'm going to visit my parents this weekend.
Although, to be fair, in some contexts, will could work, but going to is definitely more natural for existing plans.
Another common mistake is using going to with timetables. For example, saying, the train is going to leave at 8 o'clock.
Yes, for timetables, we use the present simple. The train leaves at 8 o'clock.
And sometimes learners forget to use the present continuous for arrangements, and they use going to instead.
Right. Saying, I'm going to meet Sarah tomorrow isn't wrong exactly, but I'm meeting Sarah tomorrow is more natural when it's a fixed arrangement.
These are small differences, but they do help your English sound more natural and accurate.
Absolutely. And the good news is, even if you make these small mistakes, people will still understand you.
That's true. Communication is the most important thing. But as you improve, you will want to use these structures more accurately.
Now let's think about why it's important to understand these different ways of talking about the future.
Well, it helps you express yourself more clearly. You can show the difference between a spontaneous decision and a plan.
Yes, and it helps you understand other people better. When someone uses going to, you know they already made the decision. When they use will, you know they're deciding now.
It also makes your English sound more natural. Native speakers use these structures without thinking, and when you use them correctly, your English flows better.
And in professional situations, it's important to be clear about plans and arrangements. Using the right structure helps avoid misunderstandings.
For example, if you are organizing a meeting, you want to be clear about what's definitely arranged and what's just a possibility.
Exactly. We are meeting on Thursday at 10 is much clearer than we will meet sometime soon.
The first one tells people exactly when to be there. The second one is too vague.
So learning these structures isn't just about grammar. It's about communicating effectively in real situations.
That's a really important point. Grammar isn't just rules to memorize. It's a tool for clear communication.
Absolutely.
Now, we want to give you some practical advice for learning and practicing these structures.
Yes, so how can you get better at using these future forms?
First, listen to how native speakers use them. Pay attention when you are watching English videos or listening to podcasts.
Notice which structure people use in different situations. Listen for will, going to, and the present continuous.
You can even pause and think, why did they use that structure here? It helps you understand the pattern.
Another good practice is to talk about your own plans and intentions. Practice out loud, even if you're alone.
Yes, you could describe your day. Tomorrow, I'm going to wake up early, I'm having breakfast at 7, then I'm meeting my colleague at 9. We'll probably discuss the new project.
That's excellent practice. You're using different structures naturally.
You can also write about your future plans, maybe keep a diary or journal in English.
Writing helps you think carefully about which structure to use. You have time to consider your choices.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Making mistakes is how you learn.
Exactly. Every mistake is a learning opportunity.
You could also practice by describing other people's plans. Look at someone's calendar and describe it. On Monday, she's meeting a client at 10, the meeting finishes at 11, then she's going to write a report.
That's a great exercise. It helps you practice all the different structures.
Another tip is to read English texts and notice how writers talk about the future. News articles are good for this.
Yes, news articles often discuss future events. You'll see all these structures in use.
And remember, it takes time. Don't expect to master everything immediately.
Be patient with yourself. Every time you practice, you're improving.
Now, before we finish, let's quickly recap the main points we've covered today.
Good idea. So, we talked about 4 main ways to talk about the future in English.
First, we use will for predictions and spontaneous decisions, things we decide right now in the moment.
Second, we use going to for plans and intentions we have already made, and also for predictions when we have clear evidence.
Third, we use the present continuous for fixed arrangements, especially when we've organized something with another person.
And fourth, we use the present simple for timetables and schedules, things that are fixed according to a schedule.
We also talked about some common time expressions that help us talk about future time.
Tomorrow, next week, in 2 days, at 6 o'clock, on Monday, in July.
And we mentioned some common mistakes to avoid.
Yes, like using will when you should use the present continuous for fixed arrangements.
The key thing to remember is that all these structures are useful. You don't have to choose just one.
In real conversations, you'll use all of them. It depends on what you want to express.
And with practice and exposure to English, you'll develop a natural feel for when to use each one.
You'll stop thinking about the rules and just use the right structure automatically.
So keep listening, keep practicing, and be patient with yourself.
Your English will improve steadily over time.
Well, I think that's everything we wanted to cover today. James, do you have any final thoughts?
Just that talking about the future is such an essential part of everyday communication. We all make plans, we all have hopes and intentions.
That's true. Being able to express these things clearly in English is really valuable.
And even though it might seem complicated at first, it does get easier. Trust the process.
Absolutely. Keep exposing yourself to English, keep practicing, and celebrate your progress along the way.
Every conversation is a step forward.
Thank you so much for listening today. We hope this summary has helped you understand how to talk about the future in English.
If you found it useful, keep practicing these structures in your own life. Make them part of your everyday English.
And remember, learning English is a journey. You're doing great.
Thanks again for listening. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing.
Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye.